Have you ever questioned whether the world around you is more like a mind-bending hallucination than a solid, unquestionable truth? Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that everything you took for granted, your senses, your memories, even your identity, was part of a carefully woven tapestry of illusions. Some say we're already on the verge of such a revelation. From the controversial simulation theory that's sweeping pop culture to centuries-old teachings about the world being a grand illusion, the signs all point toward one unsettling possibility: reality might not be real. But is that just a wild conspiracy? Or could there be hard evidence lurking in the deepest corridors of our minds and our science labs? Stay tuned, because you're about to see that when it comes to reality, nothing is as straightforward as it seems. It's easy to assume the world you open your eyes to every morning is exactly what it appears to be, a stable backdrop against which life unfolds. But look closer, and you'll find that skepticism about reality's authenticity spans centuries. Ancient Hindu sages spoke of Maya, a cosmic illusion that envelops us all. Over in the Buddhist tradition, there's the notion that clinging to the idea of a fixed world leads to suffering, suggesting that we're better off viewing reality as fluid, impermanent, and possibly deceptive. Fast forward to the modern era, and you'll find that these old teachings haven't lost their relevance. Silicon Valley visionaries have popularized the notion that we may be living inside a computer simulation. The theory sparked heated debates when certain public figures claimed that the odds of us not living in a simulation are staggeringly low. Talk about a bombshell. Our entire universe might be a massive program, meticulously coded down to every atom. To many, this feels like science fiction, but it aligns in curious ways with age-old philosophical puzzles about whether we're truly seeing what's out there. It sounds outrageous, but there's a reason this concept resonates. We love the idea that there's something behind the curtain. For centuries, humanity has poked at the edges of what we call real, suspecting there's more at play than meets the eye, and in a moment we'll peel back another layer of that curtain. But remember, illusions only give way if we dare to look deeper. Even skeptics admit that the line between proven fact and open question might be thinner than we'd like to think. Take a moment to observe your surroundings. The room, the colors, the sounds, it all feels so immediate. But what if you discovered that your brain fills in large gaps in your sensory input, editing the world in real time? That's precisely what some neuroscientists argue. They say your mind isn't a passive receiver of data. It's more like an overactive film editor, chopping up raw footage and splicing it back together into the mental movie you call reality. Even more intriguing is the notion that this editing process happens so fast and so unconsciously, you almost never suspect your perceptions could be flawed. Donald Hoffman, a cognitive psychologist, caused a stir by suggesting our perceptions evolved not to reveal the truth, but to present a simplified interface that helps us survive. According to Hoffman, the brain's primary goal is to keep us alive long enough to pass on our genes, not to show us an unfiltered picture of the world. Just as icons on a computer desktop don't depict the computer's actual circuitry, our perceptions don't necessarily reflect the true nature of existence. In other words, evolution might favor illusions that keep us safe over accuracy that leaves us confused. This isn't a fringe idea. Ongoing research in vision science reveals we don't process every detail in our environment. Instead, we fixate on points of interest, and our brains guess the rest, a phenomenon known as unconscious inference. It's like we're all wearing invisible VR headsets, oblivious that most of what we see is an elaborate best-guess scenario. Are you creeped out yet? Good, because as we move forward, it only gets stranger. Think about it. If the very data stream we rely on is partly fabricated by our own neural wiring, how can we ever be certain we're seeing the world as it truly is? If your immediate perceptions can deceive you, imagine what that says about your memories. The past you recall might feel vivid and reliable, yet reams of research confirm how disturbingly easy it is to distort or even fully fabricate personal recollections. The Mandela effect, a term you've probably heard, refers to collective misremembrances. Entire communities insist on events or details that never happened. This phenomenon has launched countless online debates, fueling conspiracies that we're sliding between alternate realities or that our entire timeline has been tampered with. Neuroscience paints a more grounded but equally startling explanation. Every time you retrieve a memory, your brain has to rebuild it from scratch. Each reconstruction risks introducing tiny errors or fresh interpretations, effectively altering what you think happened. Over the course of years, the you in those memories shifts, even if you remain convinced you're recalling raw truth. In fact, the memory you hold might be multiple steps removed from the actual event, like a copy of a copy, slowly degrading over time. How does this tie into the self? Consider how intimately identity is bound to our memories. We define ourselves through recollections of our upbringing, our triumphs, and our failures. If those recollections are partially fictional, then who exactly are we? Some psychologists argue that the self is essentially a continuous act of storytelling. Your mind weaves experiences into a coherent narrative that feels real and unbroken, even as details morph. Maybe we're all characters in a self-authored tale, adjusting our stories as time moves on. If so, the concept of a stable me might be another comforting illusion. Have you ever noticed how time seems to fly when you're engaged in something thrilling, yet it drags painfully when you're bored? This subjective experience suggests that time isn't quite the rigid universal clock we often imagine. Physicists have been saying the same for decades. Albert Einstein shocked the world with his insight that time is relative, a pliable dimension entangled with space. The 20th century claim that time can slow down or speed up depending on your frame of reference upended centuries of assumptions about how the universe is structured. But if you think that's mind-boggling, quantum physics takes it further. According to some interpretations, the very notion of a consistent flow of time might be an illusion. What we perceive as sequential events could be a mental overlay on a far more bizarre underlying reality. Experiments in quantum mechanics reveal phenomena that defy classical logic. Particles appear to communicate instantaneously, and outcomes seem to change simply because they're observed. These revelations challenge our deeply held beliefs about cause and effect. How about something more hush-hush and controversial? Rumors persist that certain government agencies, including the CIA, have poured resources into studying altered states where time and space reportedly lose their usual boundaries. Declassified documents mention consciousness exploration, remote viewing, and even out-of-body experiments that defy conventional explanations. Critics dismiss these programs as pseudoscience. Still, the tantalizing possibility remains. If time is more elastic than we think, who's to say everything else in our reality can't warp too? At this juncture, you may be wondering, if our senses, memories, and sense of time can all mislead us, then what is reality made of? Some find answers in the simulation hypothesis, which posits that advanced beings, be they future humans or unknown entities, design this world as intricate software. Even mainstream scientists flirt with the idea. They point to quantum experiments where mere observation changes how particles behave. If observation alone can reshape what's out there, it raises the possibility that consciousness itself might hold the code to reality's operating system. Philosophers have explored the parallels between waking life and dreams for ages. Tibetan Buddhists speak of dream yoga, a practice teaching that the line between sleeping and waking is thinner than we suspect. Think back to your most vivid dream. While it was happening, it felt real. When you woke up, that certainty dissolved. Yet right now, you'd likely bet your life that this is real and not a dream. Could you be as wrong now as you were then? In quantum physics labs, the double-slit experiment continues to trouble even seasoned experts. Electrons, or photons, pass through two slits and form an interference pattern as if they're waves. But observe them directly, and they behave like particles, as though they know they're being watched. This is the bedrock of quantum weirdness, fueling speculation that consciousness plays a pivotal role in the fundamental structure of reality. In a hypothetical simulation, objects might only exist in a definite form when you look at them, like how a video game only renders the scenery you're facing. Could it be that we're effectively inside a cosmic video game? By now, your head might be spinning with the notion that reality itself could be an illusion. Yet an even more unsettling question remains. Who or what is experiencing these illusions? Neuroscientists have scoured the brain for a place where you reside, a single region controlling your sense of identity, but the search always comes up empty. Sure, specific parts of the brain govern language, memory, emotions, and so on, but there's no throne where a mini version of you pulls the strings. Some scientists conclude the self is a dynamic process, not a static entity. Philosophy has long echoed this sentiment. The Buddhist teaching of anatta, no self, insists there is no permanent essence behind the passing stream of thoughts and emotions. Mystics from every culture recount experiences of transcending the personal self, stepping into a state where the idea of me and the rest of the world dissolves entirely. In these states, everything appears interconnected, and the usual boundaries of identity crumble. It aligns with split-brain experiments. When the brain's hemispheres are surgically separated, each side can act independently. Sometimes the left hand does something, and the person invents a reason to explain it, without realizing their reasoning is pure fiction. Is that just spiritual talk? Possibly. But more and more researchers are beginning to see parallels between profound mystical experiences and the hidden workings of our neurology. If the self is a patchwork illusion, who's living your life? That's the unsolved riddle. Some call it awareness, some call it consciousness, and others leave it unnamed, an ungraspable vantage point witnessing each passing moment. The more you try to define or control it, the more it slips through your fingers, like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. Now that we've journeyed through the labyrinth of illusions, shaky perceptions, fragile memories, fluid time, and a possibly simulated world, you might be asking, is there a way out? If this is all a dream, can you wake up? Throughout history, certain individuals, yogis, shamans, mystics, claim that not only can you step outside the illusion, but that doing so might be the true purpose of human existence. Whether you believe them or not, the sheer consistency of these claims across cultures begs a second glance. Consider luminaries like the Indian sage Ramana Maharshi, who taught self-inquiry to pierce the veil of the separate ego. Or look to more contemporary examples. Neuroscientist Dr. Eben Alexander famously recounted a profound near-death experience where his ordinary sense of reality melted into something far more expansive. Critics call these tales anecdotal or even delusional, yet they all share a common narrative. Our normal sense of self and world might be the smallest slice of what's possible. Waking up from the illusions that shape your life isn't about adding new beliefs. It's about questioning the ones you already hold. The first step is curiosity, peering into your assumptions about who you are and how the world works. Notice how your mind tries to pin down reality to keep you comfortable. Notice also that something deeper in you senses there's more beyond the mental constructs. Every time you observe the illusions at play, your shifting memories, your trickster perceptions, your fluid sense of self, you chip away at their power. It's like catching yourself in a dream and realizing that you're dreaming. In that moment, infinite possibilities open up. From ancient scriptures that label the world a cosmic mirage, to cutting-edge quantum theories that challenge the foundations of matter and time, one truth remains consistent across the ages. We can't assume that reality is exactly what it appears to be. Perhaps our daily experience is a brilliantly rendered simulation. Maybe it's a neural tapestry woven from incomplete data. Or it could be a grand cosmic game in which our consciousness flickers through states we only half understand. What's certain is that the illusions run deep, sometimes in ways that free us, and sometimes in ways that disturb us to our core. If our senses can be tricked, our memories can be corrupted, and our sense of self can be unmasked as a storyline, then it's no stretch to say reality might be just another dream. The puzzle is far from solved, but by daring to look past the surface, you take your first step off the stage and into the realm of genuine discovery. Perhaps real freedom begins when you start asking questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. In the end, embracing the possibility that everything we see could be part of a grand illusion might sound terrifying, but it can also spark an incredible sense of wonder. If reality is more malleable than we imagine, then each of us holds a remarkable power, the power to reshape our understanding of existence. Philosophers and scientists alike have hinted that the very act of observing might affect the observed. When that notion sinks in, it stops being an intellectual curiosity and becomes a profound reminder that your consciousness matters in ways you can't fully quantify. Whether you view these ideas as mere thought experiments or genuine insights into the fabric of being, one thing is clear. Curiosity is the spark that lights the path. Each unanswered question nudges us to keep looking, to keep wondering, and to remain humble about our assumptions. Maybe what we call reality is just one layer, one dimension among infinite possibilities. Or maybe it's the only one we'll ever know. But the journey of discovery is far from over. We're only just beginning to peel back the layers, and every new insight hints there's an even deeper mystery waiting just out of sight. So where do you stand in all of this? Is the world around you a tactile certainty, or an intricate riddle waiting to be cracked? Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you ever felt a sudden shift, like everything you believed about reality was on the verge of unraveling? If you're hungry for more revelations about the hidden nature of existence, hit that subscribe button. Because in a universe this mysterious, the next surprise might be even more mind-bending than the last. Are you ready to keep going down the rabbit hole? Then buckle up. Reality isn't finished surprising you yet. So hurry back for new insights. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.